Welcome everyone to the weekend recap of Simply Bitcoin. We break down the news from Twitter, the daily fail, meme review, software releases, hardware releases, the websites by plebs. Joining us today, very special guest, head of news at Bitcoin Magazine and fellow toxic Bitcoin pleb, Nick Can't Mine. But we're gonna head over to the numbers before he joins us. Let's do it.
Number time! Sponsored by Bitcoin 2022.
At the time of this recording, the block height is 702,334. The Bitcoin price, 43,900. Chain rewrite days, 834. Total public lightning capacity, 2,903.18. Sats per dollar, 2,278. Blocks to the halvening, 137,666. We are less than 100 BTC away from our next lightning strike.
Dude, I can't wait because that was a lot of fun, by the way, to put that in. I'm not gonna lie.
Don't you feel like it took forever to get to that point? And like now it just seems like, man, it's not even 3 weeks and we're getting to the next point.
Dude, I never forget when we were frozen in time at 1,000 Bitcoin lightning capacity, that we were stuck there for a minute and a half, bro. And then a minute and a half means a long time in Miami, okay? And it was just, bro, like it was frozen in time, didn't move, and now it's just gone parabolic. And we're about to, dude, we might even have to change the increments, man, because it might be too quick. But right, anyways, another thing that I noticed, Phil, was even after the China FUD, like more China FUD, we're back at 44,000 basically, because I saw the price is 43,900, right?
Doesn't, kind of like the same way that the money printing has less and less of an effect every time they do it, the China FUD seems to have less and less of an effect every time they do it.
Yep. Yep.
Too bad.
There's some
bad.
There's some signal there. Lightning capacity keeps going parabolic, and the China FUD is having less and less effect. Yep. When will the CCP learn that banning Bitcoin has the exact opposite intended effect? I don't know. But keep doing it.
Say that.
Keep doing it, guys. Keep doing it. Keep doing you. You got to give the commies credit for something, at least. Nah. Fuck you guys. Anyways, Phil, it's time for
the Daily Fail. Sponsored by
Pirate Hash.
Yeah, it's interesting that we were talking about the China FUD in the numbers, and this kind of a follow-up to the fail that we did last week about the China FUD and their quote unquote objective for their climate change objectives, and for some reason how that intertwines Bitcoin. Now, of course, that has nothing to do with what we're talking about here. It's not going to have anything to do with the energy FUD. But what it is having to do with is China's long history of Bitcoin FUD. Okay? Right from the very first year Bitcoin came into existence, the Chinese government has gone after the primary cryptocurrency, hammering it with ban after ban while citing countless risks supposedly associated with it. Before we dive into the long history of China FUD, there's good and bad news to the story. The bad news is that this kind of Chinese FUD is likely to continue. I'd agree with that. I don't see them... anything that they perceive as an attack on their, keeping their closed system as it is, they will attack viciously. So, yeah, I expect that to continue. And this article claims, at least over the next few years. However, the good news is that the effect on the price of Bitcoin seems to be decreasing over time as BTC is becoming more and more resistant.
We said this before,
right?
Before we read the article. Before we read the article.
Okay, so... Well, don't get me wrong, but we already knew that. I think we've even mentioned that in the past, that their FUD has less and less of an effect. But it's just, hey, look, sometimes it's just good to see validation.
Dude,
anyways,
cry wolf only works, so many times, right? Cry wolf only works so many times, and I think this is the case with this.
And you know what? We're going to see an illustration below that is going to show, essentially, it's going to show an interesting pattern, I think. Okay, so China FUD versus Bitcoin. With the endless bans and unnecessary repetitive threats, one might think it's a well-coordinated effort to bring Bitcoin's price down. that I think is kind of it's an interesting take. I think it has much less to do with Bitcoin's price and more to do with Bitcoin itself. Okay, because they imagine that by killing Bitcoin's price, they'll kill Bitcoin, but they don't understand Bitcoin. So, or maybe they do understand Bitcoin and they think this is an attack vector. But anyways, it doesn't really, bringing down the price isn't what actually kills Bitcoin. It's just nonsense. Anyways, okay. This is a really great chart, okay? Really great chart that shows the China FUD, okay? Like, let's take a look at that. Okay, now this is pretty interesting. You'll notice, right? You'll notice the China FUD. If we look at I'm sorry, I'm like trying to fit it all into the screen. It's kind of a tough one, but essentially, okay, you go into 2012, 2013, right? See up here, look at banks, ban Bitcoin, and then we go up to 2014. Then we go to 2017, the closure of the local exchanges. 2019, the warning to miners, and then look at what happened after 2019. This is what really gets interesting. Look at how many different times they've essentially crossed with Bitcoin, right? State-owned banks ban Bitcoin transactions. Crypto-related transactions are marked as illegal. December of 2020, authorities shut off electricity to Bitcoin miners. In October 23rd, China bans people from selling crypto. So you kind of get a huh?
That's fear.
Is that not interesting, right? Like, is that not what you see? Because it's the escalation of that fear. It's the escalation of that panic. So now they're doing it more and more. They think that by doing this, it's going to scare people out completely.
Dude, and I'm so glad you mentioned that. And I'm going to reiterate, and I read this on a previous show. I'm going to read you guys exactly what my friend who lives in mainland China, right? And he actually works in Bitcoin, right? He makes ASICs, right? And I asked him about this, right? About the recent China ban. And he said, haha, good, to quote him, haha, good stuff. The hash rate shifts from the east to the west. China government never likes Bitcoin while other Western countries are adopting it. What doesn't kill Bitcoin makes it stronger. The tech is unstoppable. After went through 2 bull bear cycles, it just becomes clearer and clearer, right? So he's essentially telling you exactly what that graph represented, and he's living in China, right? And then I went to ask him, he sent me a voice note, so I can't quote this directly, but then I asked him, I'm like, how do you guys buy Bitcoin over there? And he says everything is peer-to-peer. The exchanges are overseas. They're located overseas, so none of it is in mainland China, right? And then what they essentially do is they figure out a way how to have the Bitcoin in escrow, and then you pay in yuan, and then you're given the Bitcoin. It has a little bit of a premium, but it doesn't stop the peer-to-peer transactions, and you're seeing the same thing in other countries that have attempted to ban Bitcoin as well. You can't stop the signal, right? You would have to shut down the entire internet to stop Bitcoin. I forget who was that said that, but it's totally true. Anyways, I'm gonna ask our guest Nick, what do you think about this, man? Another China ban, but it's not working as much as I think that they would wanted it to work.
I love it. I really do. Like every single time they ban it and the price drops, like, I mean, obviously that's a chance to accumulate more, but it's like, it strengthens your conviction in it even more because, I mean, like the CCP is one of the most powerful entities on earth. And, just as that chart has shown, like that's all the attacks they can do. And they've been trying to kill Bitcoin since 2012, 2013, and they can't. And I mean, if one of the most powerful entities on earth, who's known for, killing lots of people, if they can't kill off this thing, like, we're golden. We've won. Now our job is to get Bitcoin into the hands of even more and more people so we can kill off the CCP.
Amen, man. Wow, I couldn't have said it better myself. And I completely agree with you, Nick. I think that China made such a tremendous mistake allowing the majority of the hash rate to leave its borders, right? Them, you want your enemies closer, right? They let the hash rate migrate to Texas, one of the most freedom-loving places on the face of the planet, right? Man, I think that they're definitely going to have fun staying poor, but this is going to cost them trillions of dollars. And like I said, like I read you my buddy's text who lives in mainland China. They're using Bitcoin as if nothing's really happening, right? So again, you can't stop the signal, can't stop the honey badger. Anyways, Phil, you got another fail. Why don't you show us?
All right, so this is a fail I think everyone's going to be familiar with, right? Saylor School's Rauol. Anyways, look, we can't really show the whole clip because the YouTube algorithms are evil and they don't like us. So, but we are gonna just give you a taste. Obviously, the link is in the show notes, so you guys can, for the people who missed it, you can go back and watch the the full 2 minutes. I'm sure the interview was much longer or the discussion was much longer, but this is the only piece. I don't get to see any of Rauol's stuff anyways because he blocked me a long time ago. Yeah, can't help it but troll Rauol. He just has absolutely terrible takes. For the people who don't know who Raoul Pal is, he's, what is he, like a marketing, he's like the head of Real Vision? I don't even know, but he essentially shills their crap and shills these subscription services and pretended that he loved Bitcoin for a really long time until it was buy my shitcoin times. And, now unfortunately, with Gary Gensler and what's happening with the shitcoins and them wanting to come down on the shitcoins, it looks like Rauol was giving some really bad advice to people, turns out. Turns out Real Vision's not seeing so well. Anyways, let's dive in here. Let's take a look at the beginning of this clip.
Gensler says this to the Senate yesterday. I quote, "If it stays outside of the public policy framework for AML, tax compliance, and investor protection, it is not going to long persist," unquote. I think that's pretty clear what he's trying to tell you.
The issue I've got with all of this is I get the AML, I get the tax stuff. It's this stupid securities law from 1933, 1934 that doesn't make sense.
So, because I own these bags and, these people, especially because that's essentially how shitcoins works, just to give you guys the lowdown, right? You create a token out of thin air for the sole purpose of marketing it, pumping up the value, and then dumping it on investors, dumping it on noobs, right? And Rauol Pal, he is a big proponent of, that's the reason that people buy his subscription service. Why do you think we offer free videos? Why do you think Twitter, everything I say is free? A real Bitcoiner, everything they're going to give you will be free. And there's a reason for that. Because everything you need to know is free. It's easy to fucking find, right? With these shitcoiners, like they have to try to sell you, like, these are the shitcoins that are going to pump. These are the shitcoins that are going to pump. Here comes Gary Gensler basically saying, like, yo, you can't scam people anymore. You can't do this in the traditional, equities or traditional finance. Why should you be able to do this in the shitcoin industry, right? And he's going after, DeFi that really isn't DeFi, because if it was DeFi, then regulations wouldn't affect it, right? Or regulations in meat space, right? So, and there you have Michael Saylor, like, laying down the truth, and then, Rauol Pal making himself look like an idiot. I'm really glad you played that video.
See the look on his face?
Yeah.
He's like, it's like, because let's face it, right? He's completely wrong, and everybody who listened to him now is going to have to sit there and wonder, is everything just going to get taken from me? Am I about to, you know what I mean? Like, is this all about to go to zero? Am I about to get fined? Am I, like, anyways, that we kind of told you so, we kind of said that, he's disingenuous and shouldn't be shilling shitcoins, and there's a reason why we don't shill shitcoins. Because we understand that they are affinity scams. And we understand that they can be, we've said this we've said this many times, right? There's no head to cut off with Bitcoin. Whereas, as we know, with the shitcoins, if there's a head to cut off, the regulators are coming and they are going to cut it off.
Yes.
And here you go. And look, and now you see guys like Rauol Pal who are getting scared because they were shilling garbage projects. I mean, I forget exactly, who said this, but essentially, any group or single, any group or individual that claims to have, all the answers, that claims to have the keys to the kingdom, like that, those are the groups or people that you should worry about the most. Okay. And that's the thing about stuff like, like Real Vision is that they're going to tell you, look, we've done this research for you. You can just sit back. This is the stuff you need to buy in order to get rich. That is a complete scam.
No, it's a complete scam. It's what I said, that you don't need a paid group. All you need to do is just DCAA, stay humble, to use Odell's famous quote, stay humble, stack sats. That's all you need to do. It's literally that simple. You don't need to pay anyone to do that. Doesn't cost you anything. You might have to buy a hardware wallet. You might have to invest some time into learning stuff, right? But it's all completely free. And if anyone tells you otherwise, they're a scammer. So yeah, man. Look, at the end of the day, man, the people like Rauol, the reason they're so dangerous, and this is why I got so upset when Robert Breedlove kind of did the same thing and he shilled BitClout, right? They have such big platforms, right? And Elon did the same thing, that there's a lot of desperate people in the world, okay? There's a lot of people that want to get out of their situation, right? And these people are like, the televangelists that are like, if you send me money, I will get Jesus to save you. Like, they're the scum of the earth, man. They're using people's suffering to financially benefit themselves, and they're not providing them any value. They're selling them false hope, right? And that's exactly what shitcoins are. And if you saw what Gary Gensler said, and we covered it viciously on this channel, right? We covered his statement in the Senate Banking Committee, right? He said specifically that he was going to go after DeFi, he was going to go after stable coins, he was going to go after all of that, and it couldn't exist out of the existent regulation. But you know what can exist? Bitcoin. Why? Because it has sufficient amount of decentralization and hash rate, right? Protecting the network, right? So even if regulators wanted to regulate Bitcoin, they couldn't. It would defeat the purpose of Bitcoin, right? So anyways, right, when you're separating the money from state, you better put your bet on the strongest money that was ever created in the history of mankind, and that is Bitcoin. Anyways, Nick, what are your opinions on Rauol or Saylor taking Rauol to school?
I mean, it was hilarious, man. It was like a father giving his son a stern talking when, his son did something that like he really fucked up on and he knows he shouldn't have done. It's just hilarious to me. But man, these scammers getting put in their place is good to see. I mean, like my neighbor, he got into Bitcoin and cryptocurrency earlier this year, and he told me, he's like, yeah, man. And the reason I say cryptocurrency is because he's like, yeah, man, I looked up and I found these guys who look like they know what they're talking about. So I bought their $2,500 crypto course, and they showed me a bunch of coins that they said was going to go up and do really well. So I bought them, and I was like, dude, I'm just, face palming. And it kind of goes back to what you were just saying, about how all the information, like all the good information about Bitcoin is just for free. It's just all out there. And a lot of the times when like 99% of people out there charging for, Bitcoin education are just scammers, in my opinion.
Absolutely. Yeah, 100%, dude. Listen, everything you guys have, we've said this many, many times, everything you need to learn to be successful in Bitcoin, right, is completely free, and it's pretty easy in just explaining it, but it's actually very difficult to do because it's actually very difficult to hodl psychologically. But if you focus on the fact that Bitcoin is bigger than yourself, right, you are essentially partaking in the liberation of man, right? If you see it from that perspective, rather than I'm going to get fiat rich, it actually becomes significantly easier to hodl, right? So, it's all about, why you here, what are your goals, right? And again, the money's secondary. Why do I say that? NGU technology. It does its thing. Just believe in the honey badger. That's how it works. But anyways, Phil, it's time for
the Daily Meme Review, sponsored by
Citadel 21.
All right, everybody, the meme for today. First one is brought to us by Owie Dieter Bob, and he made, look, check it out. If Simply Bitcoin TV was a cartoon, I think this one's you, Phil.
I'm pretty sure I'm the other guy.
Amazing. Thank you, Owie. All right, next one. This one kind of has a story, so stick with me. So this guy, he said he would block anyone who put toxic in their name. So I went ahead and put toxic in my name. We had no other interaction. I didn't comment on his stuff. I didn't say anything, but I saw if anyone puts toxic in their name, I'll go ahead and block them, right? So essentially he wanted people to self-censor. That's completely against Bitcoin. So I went ahead and put toxic in my name. And Tony.Hodl came up with a great meme. Crying Harder fixes this. I just say what I want. No, you can't just tell the truth. You have to be nice to people. Otherwise, Bitcoin will fail. Toxicity is layer one. I completely agree with this. It's an excellent meme by Tony.Hodl. And we got one which applies to Rauol Paul by Shire Hodl. Tell us what you think, Rauol. KYC AML laws for Bitcoin are wrong. Security laws need to change so my shitcoin backs don't dump. Amazing meme. And last but not least, this was by request. We didn't forget you, puppy.
Nope.
Bitcoin Twitter week in review. Tell me the truth. I'm ready to hear. I only buy Bitcoin and think altcoins are worthless. Why are you so toxic? Amazing memes by the toxic plebs. I love them. And Logscale, we haven't even talked, bro. Are you so fragile that you, like, I put toxic in my name and then you block me for what? I didn't even say anything to you. I'm not even mean to anyone. Anyways, Phil, for that, I'm gonna give it this honey badger, which you could buy yourself on CryptoCloaks.com. It's a 3D printed honey badger. But not only is it a honey badger, there's an Open Dime special edition in the honey badger. So it's like, not only is it a honey badger, there could potentially be Bitcoin in this honey badger right now, and you guys wouldn't know, or would you? Phil?
Very commendable score. Yeah, I don't know, man. Logscale, very weak takes happening. I don't know what it is with the whole, like, oh no, you got to be nice to everyone, otherwise, they're not going to listen to you and this and that. I mean, don't get me wrong, like, truth and facts are facts. And I think that we've all had plenty of, everybody getting offended all the time.
I'm sorry to cut you off, Phil.
No,
Listen,
no worries.
That's how commies get in. Okay?
Yeah, of course.
They use the empathy argument. Like, you have to be empathetic. You have to be nice. You have to care about this. And it's like, no, dude, don't play the fucking victim card. Like, man, the truth is the truth. What
Yep.
is it? Ben Shapiro, facts don't fucking care about your feelings, dude. And that's just a fact, right? They don't care. But feelings are one thing, facts are another thing, and it's just the truth is the truth. So anyways, I'm sorry to cut you off, Phil. What are you going to
No worries. No worries. But yeah, I didn't even give my score yet. But my score is going to be, that's right, I've got another gadget. It is my 1.4-inch e-paper screen.
Oh!
Right? So it's not LCD or anything like that. This is an e-paper screen, which is really cool. So when it's powered down, you still see what's written, what the last thing was that was written on the screen.
Oh,
it really is like e-paper,
Dude.
Anyways, pretty cool. It's
is
interesting. It's cheap tech. It uses, very little electricity, and so it's practical. Cool.
Man, I love it. So, a honey badger with Bitcoin in it, or maybe not. And Dr. Gadget gives it another gadget, an e-paper screen. And last but not least, the legendary Bitcoin Zoomer, or one of the legendary Bitcoin Zoomers, Nick Can't Mine. What would you give that meme?
I'm giving this meme a vintage Coca-Cola bottle from Mexico.
Boom! Nico-esque score.
Wait, I think I could help you here.
Probably has one. I'm gonna go dig it up.
Here it is. So I don't have to put it in post. And there's 9mm bullets in it, baby. Freedom! Freedom!
That is literally the same one I'm holding, except yours is cooler because it has 8.
Has hollow points too. Okay, awesome scores. Okay, we got Dr. Gadget's paper. Dude, that's so cool. It turns off, it stays. We got a honey badger. It's still on. We got a honey badger with maybe Bitcoin in it, maybe not. And we got a Coca-Cola bottle I added to the score with some hollow points in it. Anyways, Phil, it's time for
The Daily News, sponsored by
Crypto Cloaks.
I honestly have no idea why that has bullets in it.
Not complaining.
Exactly. You're just prepared. That's all.
All right.
Nothing wrong with that.
My other one has 556 in it. They have 5, not 9, bro. 556. All right, everybody, check out this awesome tweet by Nayib Bukele. We've been covering this. This is absolutely ground shaking. This is insane. I'm gonna read the tweet and shut up. 2.1 million Salvadorians are actively using Chivo wallet, not downloads. Chivo is not a bank, but in less than 3 weeks, it now has more users than any bank in El Salvador and is moving fast to have more users than all the banks in El Salvador combined. This is wild. We told you so. Why? The incentives of Bitcoin. Bitcoin is easier to use. You don't have to pay a third party a ridiculous fee, right, to send money from the United States to El Salvador, right? They're also, to be fair, they also incentivize people by giving them $30 of free Bitcoin as well. Just to give you guys kind of a reference, 2.1 million Salvadorians is about 30% of the country, plus or minus, right? 30% of the entire country. Okay, and I guarantee you that Steve Hanke is absolutely shitting his pants right now. Hanke the Panky.
They forced him out of the garbage this weekend to put out some tweets. We saw them.
Yeah. He came out, the vampire. Oh,
yeah,
man.
he came out, chat on Jack Mahler's, about helping Nayib Bukele and his crackpot Bitcoin ideas.
Dude, this guy's a modern day slave master, man. Remember that, guys. That guy, he's an evil person. Person. He would rather people that need that money the most pay a tax, essentially, right, just to send money, because he would rather people stick to a broken monetary fiat monster, right, that is the dollar. Anyways, moving on, right, so awesome news in El Salvador. People are actually adopting and using Bitcoin, but it's not only in El Salvador. Check this out. Around 30% of swing state voters want Bitcoin as legal payment method. Poll. 37% of Texans and Wisconsin residents are in favor of legalizing Bitcoin and shitcoins as a means of payment inside their states. Guys, I'm calling it right now. Bitcoin, I think, is going to follow the same path that the marijuana industry did. Okay? Marijuana was legalized on a state level, but is still illegal on a federal level. I suspect Bitcoin will become legal tender on a state level before it becomes legal tender on a federal level. The federal government has the most to lose, which is why I think they're going to try to fight it tooth and nail. But states like Texas and Wyoming, that a big percentage of their GDPs comes from the Bitcoin industry, right, have all the incentive to make something like Bitcoin legal tender. That's just a prediction. I don't know if it's going to come true or not, but let's see how it plays out. Anyways, we brought our awesome guest, the legendary Bitcoin Zoomer, Nick Can't Mine, to talk about the epic news coming out of Ukraine. I'm going to tie it up what we were talking about just now. Give me a second. Ukraine is the latest country to legalize Bitcoin as the cryptocurrency slowly goes global. And right after that, Bitcoin Magazine opens bureau in Ukraine. And I'm going to ask Nick why. Anyways, just to read a little bit of the article first. Bitcoin Magazine is proud and excited to announce that we will be establishing a news bureau in Kyiv, Ukraine, as part of our ongoing efforts to expand reporting on Bitcoin adoption in Eastern Europe and the greater CIS region. We will be opening the new office with a strategic partner that will be announced next month. The international expansion comes shortly after Ukraine's recently approved bill that made Bitcoin legal within its jurisdictions. The popularity of Bitcoin among the whole country also cannot be underestimated, as Ukraine is home to the fourth largest population of Bitcoin users in the world. I did not know that. That's fascinating. Again, remember how I told you guys I was going to tie this up with the earlier things? Here's the signal. David Bailey, CEO of Bitcoin Magazine: while the world's economists are fixated on superpowers like China and the United States, the future of money is being decided in places like El Salvador and Ukraine. Here's the signal, guys. This is the future. Ukraine and El Salvador. Nick, please tell us what's going on in Ukraine. Why Ukraine? Why did you guys decide to set up shop in Ukraine? Drop us all the news. You tried to tell me over text, and I stopped you because I wanted to hear it right on the show.
So to start off, earlier this year, El Salvador had 70% of their active population unbanked. They released one app on the App Store, and they've banked 30% of their population with an asset that is appreciative of, on average, annually 100% to 200% per year. The IMF and the World Bank and critics like Steve Hank are radio silent on all of it. When you look at mainstream media, you watch the news, you read their garbage articles, it's all fear-mongering, just garbage, and it's a lot of noise and little to no signal. What David Bailey said, I gotta echo it. It's, while most of the world, or at least the first world, is focused on, a bunch of, bullshit like COVID and a bunch of other stuff, there is a battle going on, and it's a monetary battle. The future of money is really being decided, and it's being decided by the people who really need it now. Like, the demand for the El Salvador wallet is so great because it fixes an actual problem, and it gives people access to a monetary asset that's not going to bleed and leak their monetary energy, and it's going to lift them up out of poverty and give them a good quality of life. Other countries are heavily taking notice, and they are very interested. Ukraine is one of those countries. As Nico was just saying, they are home to the fourth world's largest population of Bitcoiners, according to Chainalysis. They do not trust their government. They've had a history with communism. Some horrible stuff happened, like absolutely horrible stuff, and they do not trust their government. Bitcoin is the perfect thing for them. And so, I mean, obviously, like, Bitcoin solves a problem that they have, and it's obviously, how do I want to word this? I'm blanking right now. Like, the demand is there because, it's a desirable asset and it fixes a lot of their problems.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just the citizens, though. Some highly influential people in the country, they have and own Bitcoin, and as well as some of the politicians. I mean, you can go on their government website, and some of their politicians are whales. They have hundreds to thousands of coins. They want Bitcoin. They really want Bitcoin. So when I covered the news that Bitcoin was made legal in the country, but there were some stuff going on in the country, such as the police treated it as a scam. So if you were a Bitcoin company and you tried to operate within their borders, the police would raid you, and you'd go to jail, and they'd destroy all your stuff. So this Bitcoin bill making it legal was needed before we could expand into Ukraine, using some of our relationships over there. Ukraine is doing some amazing things. A lot of people may not know this, but since the China ban, when they banned miners and the huge hash rate dropped, a lot of miners actually went to Kazakhstan as well as Ukraine, and so they're all there. But so we really want to push Bitcoin adoption. We want to push global hyper Bitcoinization, and you know, this is a market that doesn't have like too many good. There's a language barrier. Like maybe not everyone in the greater CIS region reads English. There's not that many good quality Bitcoin production going on over there. So we wanted to be there helping out, the 240 million people who live in that area of 11 countries. And we're not going to be sending Americans over there. We're going to be hiring the people in Ukraine in that area who really want to, who just love Bitcoin. They love the freedom it provides. They really understand it. And they're going to be producing written content, audio content, and video content for that area. And we have gotten, I couldn't tell you how much, but our HR guy was telling me we have gotten a ton, and I mean a ridiculous amount of people submitting their job applications to apply. And like they love Bitcoin Magazine. They really want solid Bitcoin only content there. And I mean, this is just a whole new area of the world that is just primed to be orange pilled. And that goes back to what I was saying about how the future of money is being decided in places like these countries because they need it, and they need it now. And they're going to grasp it very easily, and they're going to love it. And, is Ukraine the next domino to fall in being legal tender? Who knows? It could be another country. But I'm just saying is that every single day, like, what you were going back earlier to the beginning of the show is you can't kill Bitcoin. So it's only a matter of time before more and more people learn about it. They hear about it and they're like, holy crap, I need more of this. And then, over time, the network grows even stronger. Price goes up because more and more people are buying it. And we win. We win through getting Bitcoin in the hands of more people in all areas of the world. Bitcoin is a global community. Bitcoin is for everyone, whether you like them or not. Mm-hmm. So just getting access to this area of 11 countries and 240 million people is another giant step towards hyper Bitcoinization.
Absolutely, man. I never realized how many people were in that area. And Nick is absolutely right. We are fighting or in the middle of this information war for the future of money. This is exactly what we're living through. And guys, just, this is a call to action. Every single like, right? Every single tweet, every single meme, every single piece of content, every single, that uncle that's not completely sold on Bitcoin and you convincing him, right? That is what it takes to win this war, right? Is showing people that there is a better option than the fiat that they're currently using, right? We have a better system. Just a lot of people are still asleep. They're stuck in the fiat matrix, right? They're used to their old ways, right? So again, get active, right? Tell as many people as you can, right? And this is how we win this information war. And of course, we have NGU technology on our side, and we have the best money that was created in the history of the planet with absolute scarcity as well. Anyways, Phil, there was a software release today. Why don't you tell everybody about it?
Software releases. All right, we've got Blue Wallet version 6.2.7. That's down below in the show notes. It is a Bitcoin and Lightning wallet. It could be, you could have it connecting to your own Electrum server, or you can connect to theirs. Configurable, easy to use. Check it out down below in the show notes.
Awesome. Thank you, Phil. All right, guys, I want to give a quick shout out to our sponsors. Check out, get your tickets for the Bitcoin 2022 conference. It's 4 days this year. It's the first day is Industry Day. So the next 2 days are speaker days, and the last day is like music and networking. You can get 10% off your tickets down below. Definitely go to the Bitcoin 2022 conference. It's going to be awesome. I went last year. You meet the plebes. You meet the plebes in meat space. It's really cool. Check out CryptoCloaks.com for the best 3D printed Bitcoin merch, like the Honey Badger. And of course, there's a 5% link down below. And last but not least, check out Citadel 21 for Bitcoin news by plebes, for plebes, pure plebe signal. Check out the best Bitcoin cultural zine, citadel21.com, and check out Pirate Hash for some awesome Bitcoin trinkets. It's awesome. There's like a board game, there's a poster. It's really cool. It's all by the guy that did the UI for Bisq. His name is Pedro. Again, check out piratehash.com. Before we go, I want to give a shout out to our awesome guest. He is one of the two legendary, there's three, because there's Jack Mahlers, there's Dylan, and then there's Nick Can't Mine. This is the generation that's really going to change everything, the Zoomer generation. And Nick Can't Mine is definitely one of those legendary Bitcoin Zoomers. You can go give him a follow at Nick Can't Mine on Twitter. He is the head of news at Bitcoin Magazine. Guys, that was the weekend recap. If you enjoyed the show, you know what to do. Smash that like button. And forgive me botching the ads. This is the first time. It's 4 ads. It's hard. And of course, if you want to continue hearing the Bitcoin news from the pleb perspective and the catastrophic fails from the Chinese Communist Party and Steve Hanke, the financial vampire, definitely consider subscribing, and we'll see you tomorrow, guys, for another episode of Simply Bitcoin.
The China FUD isn't working, and the creatures like Steve Hanke are getting scared.